The following program was recorded at RILA, the Retail Industry Leaders Association Annual Logistics Conference in Dallas. I'm pleased to welcome Editor-in-Chief of Supply Chain Brain, Russell Goodman.
Product Lifecycle Logistics. Well, here to speak with us about that today is Glenn Mauney, Senior Vice President at GENCO ATC. Glenn, welcome.
Thank you, Russell.
Glenn, I think most of us are probably familiar with something called Product Lifecycle Management, but now there's something called Product Lifecycle Logistics. Now, what's behind that notion?
Product Lifecycle Management, or PLM, PLCM, is a well-established concept where the financial or the marketing groups manage the strategy and how a product will come to market, from its concept through its design, its manufacturing, then to its delivery. The concept of lifecycle logistics was born in the military, and that's because the military was looking at total cost of ownership and needed to focus on the logistics efficiencies because it's a big driver of cost. So we can apply the lifecycle logistics to consumer products, call it product lifecycle logistics. It's also rooted in the concept of lean methodology, because lean is looking for wherever we can drive cost out of the entire supply chain. And by looking as a holistic approach to the supply chain, not just segments of it, we can find typically unidentified areas of waste and work to drive it out.
Glenn, I want to turn to retail supply chain management for a moment. What problems in that area do you feel that product lifecycle logistics address?
Well, I think we're all familiar with the complexity in the supply chain due to globalization, the multiple touches, the extended product chain of delivery, and also the emphasis on the consumer and the volatility of demand. They want the product when they want it, where they want it, and how they want it, creating these multi-channel complexities in the supply chain. Also, these days there's an emphasis on sustainability and greening the retail supply chain, very important. Of course, all these add cost, the fundamental challenge that the retailers have. Product lifecycle logistics is a way of addressing all this in a holistic approach by actually paying attention to the total life cycle of the product as it moves through everything from its introduction phase to its growth phase to the maturity phase and then to the decline, so that you're thinking of a complete loop as you address the logistics challenges.
You know, you mentioned the word emphasis. A number of areas are getting emphasized these days. That's certainly true of supply chain analytics. A lot of attention there. I'm just curious, what is your view about how product lifecycle logistics affects the effectiveness, if you will, of data analysis?
Well, fundamentally, if product lifecycle logistics is working well, it's all founded on the ability to take data. Supply chain is awash with data, and being able to turn it into actionable intelligence. So that it's all about knowledge management. We can use this data in one area, for instance, in a reverse flow, and give information to a product design. I have a good example. There was a health and beauty aids manufacturer we worked with that was having an unusual amount of returns from a particular retailer on one product. It turns out that once we did a data research and got to a root cause analysis, they actually saw that the spring-loaded merchandiser on the retail shelves was tearing the product as it was pushing it forward. Now, feedback from the returns area was able to create a simple design change and just flipping the direction of the flap and avoid thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars of unsaleable product.
You know, you mentioned sustainability a moment ago when you were talking about benefactors of a product lifecycle logistics approach. I want to return to that for just a second. And let's talk about that. How do you see sustainability being benefited by this kind of approach?
Well, at its basic concept, product lifecycle logistics attempts to combine or link various components in a segmented supply chain, which reduces the number of touches and the number of transports. And anytime you're transporting something less, you're burning fewer fossil fuels, and so you're helping to minimize the impact on the carbon footprint of the supply chain. But also importantly, Product Lifecycle Logistics focuses on the whole reverse flow to figure out how you can get increased reuse, recycling, remanufacturing of the product once it's at the end of its life cycle, keeping it out of landfills, keeping hazardous materials out of the environment, and contributing to the greening of the supply chain.
If we can just drill down for a moment, I want to talk a little bit more specifically about how exactly does product lifecycle logistics affect supply chain management? I mean, what's involved there?
Well, I think the key, and you'd recognize a well-run product lifecycle logistics supply chain by the fact that it's adaptive. There's feedback that's coming from information and data in various areas. There's connection between the areas. There's not the conflicts and the misaligned KPIs that one function, procurement, transportation, distribution, reverse flow, might have, so that one function doesn't do something to boost their own performance to the detriment of the rest of the supply chain. That, coupled with a very, very strong knowledge management concept, suggests that you have a well-functioning product lifecycle logistics supply chain.
You know, we started out talking about the familiarity that many of us have with product lifecycle management, but product lifecycle logistics is something that's new for a number of folks. If I'm a viewer and I want to know more about this, where can I go? Where can I get more information?
Well, one place I could suggest is the website of GENCO ATC, www.gencoatc.com. There's a perspectives tab right there, and we've put together, through lots of input, a variety of white papers that discusses the fundamentals of this and hopefully shares some good information with our viewers.
Well, this has been some valuable insight, and I want to thank you very much for meeting with us today.
Thank you, Russell. I've enjoyed it.
That's Glenn Mauney, GENCO ATC, speaking with us today about product lifecycle logistics. Thank you for watching.